Peter Dutton is in Darwin today, promising to return its port, owned by Chinese company Landbridge, to a trusted operator. But it's a brief stop at a footy field in Palmerston that has the press pack talking. Jake is with the Dutton campaign for us today. Jake, politicians and football photo ops often are a recipe for disaster. What happened?
G'day, Mel. Yes, well, as you might have just seen, Peter Dutton's car driving behind me, the opposition leader is in Darwin today, touring around with an announcement, a promise to return the Port of Darwin, currently operated by Chinese-owned company Landbridge, to a trusted operator into Australian hands. But that's not the event that has the press pack talking today. It was a short stop at Kazali's Arena near Palmerston just a short while ago, where Peter Dutton announced a $5 million upgrade to that arena, that he learned a tricky lesson for politicians. They say don't work with children, don't work with animals. Well, maybe don't work with football should be added to that list. Scott Morrison in 2022 learned this the hard way when he accidentally tackled a child. Peter Dutton tried to one-up that today when he punted the ball into the head of Channel 10 cameraman Gaith, cracking a joke that there's your exclusive, before realising that actually the camera had knocked him pretty hard and cut his forehead open. Peter Dutton pretty quick to check that Gaith was okay, and he was. But a reminder for us all that politics can be a bit of a blood sport.
Glad to hear that Gaith is doing okay. Jake, take us through what the opposition leader was actually in Darwin for today, though.
Yeah, so look, Peter Dutton had come to the Northern Territory to announce this promise to return the Port of Darwin to an operator trusted by the Commonwealth, in Mr Dutton's words, saying that the security situation had deteriorated in briefing advice given to him, and that within first 6 months of his term of Parliament he would seek to negotiate that sale, but also saying he would be prepared to force its acquisition if that deal could not be struck, and pass any legislation that might be necessary to do so. This is something that the government preempted yesterday, taking to airwaves to say it also would seek to negotiate a sale, meaning that whoever wins the election, that return of the Port of Darwin to a private operator, not Chinese-owned, is likely to happen, something that will probably antagonise China in an already sensitive security and trading environment, and potentially cost the federal budget quite a bit of money.
All right, Jake Evans in Darwin there for us. Thank you. Meanwhile, Anthony Albanese has diverted his campaign to flood-affected Western Queensland. He's been meeting with farmers still managing floodwaters while announcing new government relief.
Bit of a different tone, I suppose, on the campaign today, touching down in this flood-affected part of Western Queensland. We're in Longreach at the moment. We've just been out of town, a few k's out where the river is, seeing the swollen floodwaters for ourselves. The Prime Minister's been out a bit further at a sheep station, meeting some of those directly managing the impacts of these floods. They were described by some meteorologists as almost a pseudo-monsoon that dropped around this part of Queensland. In some areas, twice their yearly rainfall in less than 2 weeks. So still a pretty significant recovery effort going on. Major flooding expected in some areas for weeks to come. A few different offers. The first is actually just government assistance that can be, not part of the election cycle or election campaign. They're just immediate assistance that can be provided. That's a disaster recovery allowance is going to be made available for those who can't work because of these floods. It's essentially income assistance, a bit of income replacement that can be offered for up to 13 weeks. So the Prime Minister saying that will be offered immediately. He's also making a campaign pledge, $10 million to build a new weather radar in Western Queensland. That's something Peter Dutton had already announced a week or so ago when he visited flood-affected parts of Western Queensland. So the Prime Minister matching that pledge, meaning it's going to be delivered no matter who wins the coming election.
And Tom, another issue we've been hearing about this morning is the Port of Darwin. Have we heard any more from Labor on its plans for the port?
No, so this is really interesting. The Prime Minister phoned into ABC Radio Darwin late yesterday afternoon. He must have had wind somehow that Peter Dutton was going to make just a couple of friendly locals going past. He somehow got wind that Peter Dutton was going to make a significant announcement today that he would essentially ensure that the Port of Darwin returned to Australian hands. Anthony Albanese calling into that radio station to make the same commitment, to ensure that he says no matter what, either the Port of Darwin will be bought by an Australian company, an Australian firm. Anthony Albanese pointed to super funds in particular as one particular option that he is interested in. He says Treasury's been working on options for this for quite some time, but he says if that can't be arranged, then he will see to it that the government takes ownership of the Port of Darwin. That's quite similar to what Peter Dutton is also announcing. So the two campaigns on the same page there. But we haven't had a chance to question the Prime Minister directly ourselves as to this commitment just yet, to sort of pull apart exactly what he's got in mind.